Hi, everybody. This is Miss O'Neill again, and we today are going to talk about the state of flow. So, this is your second journal entry as we're wrapping up our mindfulness meditation mazes. So, during the state of flow, this may be a thing that you may have reached the state of flow during this project, but it may be a thing you have going on in another part of your life. Either way, learning about the state of flow may help impact your happiness overall for the rest of your life. So, with that being said, let's learn what flow is and watch a little bit of this video, not a lot, just enough to kind of give us the basics. I'll recap it and then I'll give you your journal entry. I will stay here in the bottom of the screen, so if you need a good laugh in the middle of this video, you can just watch my facial expressions.
Flow theory in less than 5 minutes, I promise. It was the first game of the 1992 NBA Championship Series. The Portland Trail Blazers were pulling ahead of the Chicago Bulls when Phil Jackson called a timeout. Michael Jordan emerged from this timeout with a sense of intense concentration. And though it didn't seem like a big deal at the time, he would then go on in the next 18 minutes to hit 6 three-pointers. At one point, he looked to the sidelines and shrugged his shoulders, seemingly surprised by his own success. He later described this experience as being in the zone. Now, players in every sport describe this similar experience of being in the zone, where they tune out the crowd and the noise and the distractions and just play at their top performance. But it isn't limited to sports. Artists and authors, musicians, engineers, composers, they all experience this same sense of being in the zone. It's a strange paradox where time seems to stand still, and yet it seems to be over in an instant. It feels effortless even though you're facing an extreme challenge. There's a sense of relaxation, but it's also intense. You seem more present than ever, but you also seem to lose your entire sense of self. You've probably experienced this before, when you were so engaged in a task that you lost track of time and place. There's a term for this. It's called being in a state of flow. And if we want students to be fully empowered to own the creative process, to engage in deep and meaningful work, well, then we need to understand what it means for students to reach this state of flow. Although the idea of flow has existed for thousands of years, flow theory began in the 1970s and 80s when Hungarian psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi became fascinated by artists who were so lost in their creative work that they would lose track of time and even ignore food, water, and sleep. And through his research, he noticed a similar experience with scientists and athletes and authors and all kinds of people who engaged in meaningful work. It was a state of hyper-focus and complete engagement, and he described it as optimal experience.
The optimal experience. That's the perfect way to describe this. So, the optimal experience is that state of flow. You know, you've got some skills, but you've got a healthy level of challenge. And when you put it together, you are going to have the state of flow. So, it should never be a thing that's causing you intense anxiety. It should never be a thing that you are like immediately bored of. It might be a thing that you get bored of like after a while, but like it's always going to be kind of in the middle between the level of challenge that you face and the skills that you have going into it. So hopefully, maybe some of you guys got to experience that with this project. You know, we walked you through the steps that you needed to get to the techniques that you needed. So those would be the skills that you had going into this project. And then that level of challenge, that is going to be the actual organizing of the project and making sure it's neat and tidy and uses good craftsmanship. So you could have reached a state of flow here, but it's totally up to you whether you did or not. And it's okay if you did not. Art's not for everyone, but everyone can do art and can enjoy it. So hopefully you did, but if art's not your thing, I hope you enjoyed this video. And I want you guys all to tell me about a time where you think you might have reached a state of flow. So It could be a time in the past. It could be something in general that you enjoy doing. Maybe you really enjoy playing basketball, like in the video. And when you're in that state of flow, you can describe what that feels like. Just walk me through what that experience is. And if you're having trouble thinking about what could possibly get you to that state of flow, or like if you can't think of it immediately, walk away and come back. This isn't a thing that has to be rushed. The whole point of these self-discovery journaling is to be a thing where you get to learn about yourself a little bit more, and it should be a relaxing experience for you. So don't stress out over this. But as always, it's good to see you, and I can't wait to see you back in class.